Thanks very much. And good evening, Corey. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks. I want to start. Marlon has said he's expecting a war in this fight, and I think it feels like that's a pretty safe assumption. But do you have any expectations going into a fight like this, or do you just try to avoid all that and see what plays out?
Yeah, I'm avoiding all expectations. I think Marlon hasn't fought in a really long time, so who knows what Marlon has been learning and working on in that time. And I'm not going to bank on his. Everyone keeps saying it's his conditioning. I'm not banking on that. I'm not going to feed myself that narrative. I'm anticipating the best Marlon that Marlon's going to be, and I'm going in with really no anticipation of him doing certain things or just striking or wrestling or whatever it is. I'm going to kind of take the fight just moment by moment.
When you go back to his last performance against Aldo, I mean, obviously it was controversial. Jose went on to get the title opportunity. Did you think Marlon had done enough to win that fight?
I did think that Marlon won that fight. It was a little bit of a weird fight. But yeah, I mean, if I had scored, I would probably have given it to Marlon.
Now you're coming into this off the loss to Aljo. I mean, do you feel it makes sense for him to get the next title shot? Because the other kind of angle to this is Marlon's thinking, hey, maybe if I put on a big performance, I can jump the line.
Yeah, potentially. I think there's arguments for everyone. I think Aljamain has a really solid argument, and I think that he should be the one to be fighting for the belt next. Um, so I don't really know what the holdup is with that, but I don't know.
Fair enough. And going out to Fight Island for this one after competing in Vegas in June, how much of an obstacle is it in terms of travel and the time of day you're going to be fighting it at, all of that stuff?
Hasn't been too bad yet. Maybe it'll get bad. I don't know. Weigh-ins is at night now, so that kind of feels like a little old school. But before we were all a little bit spoiled and had those early morning weigh-ins. But so weigh-ins is at night, and then we fight early in the morning. So that might be a little bit of an obstacle for some guys, but I think as long as you kind of plan accordingly. It shouldn't be too big of an issue, but it's definitely something that if you mess it up, yeah, you're not going to be in good shape for the fight day.
All right. Well, thanks very much, Corey. Best of luck this weekend.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
Next, we have Martina with In the Cage, Poland.
Hello, sir. Do you hear me? Hello, hello. Hi, sir. Do you hear me?
Hello.
Oh,
Yep.
great. Sir, just two small questions from me. First of all, I would like to know how do you feel on Yas Island with all this high humidity of air and the time change? What does it mean for you before the fight?
Uh, it honestly hasn't been too bad. Been waking up at like 1 or 2 in the morning and then going to bed around like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Uh, I mean, so that's a little bit weird, but it doesn't like my rest and my body feels okay. It's just kind of like weird to wake up at 1 in the morning and then look at your watch and have the day be half over and it's only like 9 o'clock in the morning. That's a weird feeling, but as far as like physically, it's not too impactful.
You are now at number 4 in bantamweight division. How many fights do you need to win to receive a title shot, in your opinion?
I think probably 1 or 2. It depends. If I do really good against Marlon and I really outclass him or I get a finish, I could see them doing it right afterwards, or I could see them. Frankie just had a really big win. TJ's coming back. Aldo still coming off of that championship loss, and so who knows what they'll do? But I think probably 2. But anything happens in the sport. Like. I had a really bad fight in my last one, and now I'm fighting the number one contender, and it could potentially be for a title shot afterwards. So anything can happen, but I realistically probably 2.
How do you feel fighting in main event? Does it give you some additional stress or something?
I wouldn't call it stress. I'm definitely really excited and really grateful to be able to do that, and I'm really excited and uh, yeah, I've always kind of wanted to feel what a five round fight feels like. I never got to experience that, and I'm excited to see what that does to my brain and my body, and face whatever type of adversity I need to face.
Understand. Thank you, sir. That's all from me.
And next we have Augusto
Okay.
with Somos MMA.
Cory, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Cory, you have mentioned Marlon last fight was almost a year ago. You have fought during the pandemic. You know all the procedures and how this new normality works. So, do you think you have an advantage over Marlon because of that?
I think definitely him not fighting for a year and me fighting only 4 or 5 months ago or whenever that was is going to definitely be in favor of me, especially with kind of how weird everything is right now. I think that it will be an advantage. I hadn't really thought about it too much, but yeah, I suppose that will I think affect him a little bit more than it's going to affect me.
And what changes have you made since your last fight? Are there any new tricks under your sleeve?
Yeah, sure. I worked a lot on my mind and being able to put myself even when I show up to sparring and I'm tired and I want to have a kind of a coast day. I've been really good at doing the things that I've been doing with my sports psychologist to make sure that on any given day, no matter how I'm feeling, I can still get to a place in my head where I can perform at a really high level. So I'm really excited for that. That was a new skill that I definitely added since the last fight, and I'm really excited to see it pay off.
And which type of fight do you imagine on this weekend? Where do you think are going to be the keys for your victory?
The keys to my victory are just gonna be, to be myself, and to be intense and to be ready at all times and to stay engaged for however long the fight lasts. Marlon's a dangerous guy. He's explosive, and I need to make sure that I'm being really engaged in when I'm fighting him. And I think if I do that and I keep my foot on the gas and I prepare myself for a war, I'll do really well.
My last one. Which aspects of this Fight Island surprise you the most? What's the crazy thing about all this?
Crazy like good or crazy bad?
Both.
Crazy good has been, I mean, I've been raving to my parents and my girlfriend about the first class flight over here. That was sick. Crazy bad. It's a little crazy to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then just be up until like 3 in the afternoon. That's a little bit weird, but nothing has been really too unexpected. It's really hot out here. I went to the beach earlier and was only able to be in the sun for like 10 minutes before I was too worried about going into a fight really sunburnt because that would definitely not be good. Uh, but yeah, I mean everything's pretty as expected.
Okay, Cory. Thank you very much and good luck on your fight.
Thanks, man.
Next up we have Damon Martin with MMA Fighting.
Cory, you mentioned just now working with a sports psychologist. Is that a new addition to your fight camp?
No, so I've been working with my sports psych Joey for probably 4 years now. But different problems at different times. And we addressed kind of the issue that happened in the last fight. And but no, I've been working with Joe for a really long time now.
We hear all the time talking about mental health and things like that in the sport and mental acuity. How much has that played a part in your preparation for fights, working with a sports psychologist? I know Michelle Watterson just recently talked about that as well. I know Cowboy Cerrone has talked about working with one in the past. Like, how much of a difference has that made in your preparation and your readiness for fighting?
It's pretty day and night. One like you can use there. So the sports psychs, you know, that they work for a number of reasons. One is that they're there to talk to help put out whatever fires, you know, so whatever nerves are coming up or whatever kind of like silly things are running through your head, they help you kind of sort your way through there. And then there's performance-based things where they actually help you be better at performing through different exercises. So before, I mean, early, I think in sports psychology, when you're working with someone, it's a lot of putting out fires, and then once you get pretty good at honing enough skills to be able to put out most of the fires on your own, and you don't need them anymore, then you can kind of go to the performance part, and that's where I feel like I have been maybe the last like, you know, 4 or 5 months is honing those like uh performance skills, if that's what you want to call them.
Yeah. Also, obviously working with your team at Elevation Fight Team, you guys are one of the biggest teams with one of the most guys fighting in the UFC, Bellator, places like that. But you kind of slip under the radar all the time. You're not one of the loudest teams out there. But what has it been like working with that team? And kind of give me an idea like what this camp has been like for you, because I know like you got a fight coming. Obviously, Justin's got a fight coming up. Drew, kind of give me an idea like what that is like working with that kind of team where you guys are just out there working, but we don't really hear a ton about you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, morale is high at the gym. It's a fun environment. We all care about each other. We're all kind of in the same boat, and a lot of us are in the same areas in our careers. You know, like Curtis is in a pretty comparable spot to me, and Gaethje. You know, like Gaethje's fighting for a belt. Me and Curtis aren't doing that, but eventually we will. And just the idea of having someone and multiple people next to you that are also doing really, really well just helps breed confidence.
And last one on that point, obviously there's a lot of great teams in MMA. We hear all the time America Top Team, aka places like that, but Elevation Fight Team has kind of become one of those great teams yet again. You guys kind of slip under the radar. Do you mind that your team doesn't get the publicity all the time, or does that even matter to you that you're not getting the credit? Because I feel like sometimes the coaches, people like that, kind of slip under the radar, and maybe they're not getting the same recognition as like a Greg Jackson or Javier Mendez, things like that.
I personally don't mind. I'm not in it to get credit. I'm in it to win a world title and to fight the best guys and to be the best me that I can be, and retire with a legacy that is world renowned. So for me, I mean, all of that obviously includes a lot of credit, but that's not kind of the forefront on my brain. But I mean, people will start taking notice, man. It takes time, and we don't have too many like crazy loudmouth, big, huge personalities. But I think that we're all just happy that we're all doing well.
Thank you, Cory.
Thanks, Damon.
And last, we have your questions with Sportskeeda India. Anurag, your line has been unmuted.
Can't hear you very well.
Am I?
Looks like we're having some technical difficulties. Last up, we have Gabriel Gonzalez with Cage Side Press.
Cory, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Well, you know what? Not too much left. My biggest thing is, when you have a fight like the one with Aljo, doesn't go too long. When you go back to the gym, what were some of the things you were working on, obviously to improve and fix and everything like that?
Yeah, just that mental part, like just making sure that I'm able to get myself into a headspace whether or not I like it or not. Just being able to put myself in a space where I can perform at a really high level, and also knowing where that space is. Having it not be too high, having it not be too low, and just different techniques to bring it down and then to also bring it up. That's kind of been like a huge focus in this last camp, because that was a huge detriment in my last fight.
An important question, there's still, I think, a bit of a stigma with the sports psychologist seeking that kind of help for the mental game for any athlete, not just combat sports. What would you say to fighters who are, it could benefit them, but they're still on the fence about maybe seeking that kind of help?
I would tell them to, if they have the resources, they need to do it. It's something that fighting's different, man. Like I know that other sports are definitely still competitive and yada yada, but fighting's different, and it comes with it's just more. It involves more soul, and I believe, and working with the sports psych and being able to figure out where your demons are and what you need to work on mentally, and just not kind of overlooking them and feed into the meathead culture that we sometimes have in MMA, and just being okay with needing some help in your brain. There's nothing wrong with that. You're a little bit silly if you don't do that, in my opinion.
To shift gears a little bit, this is your division. Do you know, or I guess, what do you think is up? Why haven't they announced Aljo versus Petr Yan yet?
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone kind of keeps asking me that. I have no idea. Maybe they don't have a date. I can speculate a lot, but I don't know.
My final one, you're in a bubble, you're on Fight Island. If you were to get this big victory on Saturday, have you imagined how you would set up a celebration?
I think I'm just gonna enjoy my time with my coaches. We've been spending a lot of time together, as you can imagine, in quarantine, but it's been fun. It's been bonding, and I really want to celebrate a win, and I want to get it for those guys as well, because they've been sitting in a lot of hotel rooms for a lot of hours just to help me out in my fights. So that's what I'm looking forward to.